All right, my incredible Christar family, my divine, radiant Christar mission family. Um, just getting in the flow of the energy here. Super excited to get to share this next Galactic Star report with you. So as I'm getting everything just all lined up on the technical end, I just want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. I love being able to share this as a live. If you are watching the replay of this in the future, please know you can always check my calendar. And that calendar is on withbecca.com. If you go to withbecca.com, you can always see all the next live events that are coming. I have a few more that are going to be happening during our True Sky Libra time. Primarily a new book read that we're going to be doing, and we're going to go into the book Choice Love Bite. And I've been excited about presenting this one to you guys. So welcome to everyone. I'm actually going to type over here in the chat just the website so that you can check that out if you want to connect to that online calendar. So as we're here looking at the true sky, we are looking at where the true constellations are in the sky right now. This is a little different than tropical astrology. Tropical astrology is a little bit of the familiar of the 12 equal constellations in the, or the 12 equal zodiac. Sorry, I'm just kind of getting the flow going here today. So as we look at the 12 equal zodiacs within the sky, we know that they all correspond to different constellations within the sky, but it is not actually where the constellations are. So we were really nudged by the guardians to start looking at true sky astrology, to start looking at where are the true stars at, really kind of looking at this from the concept of solar astrology rather than lunar astrology. Well, what would that mean? That would mean that we're not following a set 30-degree pattern that would be more based upon, say, a closer simulation to a lunar cycle, but that we are really following where is the sun in the sky and what constellation is the sun moving through as it moves through the different constellations through the ecliptic. So as we're working with this, why is this so important? I really kind of meditated on this for a long time, you guys, and I think this is going to be relevant for the Libra energy because currently on the planet, people are really being within the tropical energy of the Scorpio energy. So we're in the energy of Scorpio for most of the true sidereal Libra. Well, this is very interesting because as we look at this, we're in a great time of transformation and change that happens towards the latter part of the year. And if we start to rush into the underworld, if we start to rush into that Scorpio energy too fast before we really work through all almost 50 degrees of Virgo we did for our last report, that was a lot. This one, Libra is about 18 degrees. So this report will be a lot shorter today. But as we look at that, Virgo is massive. It gives us a really long time to look at harvest, to look at how are we nurturing, how are we tapping into that divine cosmic mother energy upon the planet, how are we working with, Virgo being an earth sign, so much more time and energy connecting to the earth as we now move into an air sign of Libra. And as we're moving into this Libra energy, now it's starting to really bring the scales, the energy of justice or wholeness and balance. Balance really is how we start to clear different karmas from our womb chakra. So we're really diving into the womb chakra. So I'm going to use some womb chakra terms within this. And I invite any of you, if this is a new term you haven't heard yet, please, I invite you to and check out some of the other videos that are on the website. This is another beautiful technology that the Guardians have led us to begin to work with. It's a very ancient technology. By all means, it's not something brand new on the planet. In fact, it's kind of been uncovered and reemerged for us to begin to work with it. And what is the power of it? Well, the power of having a powerful womb chakra. So think of a womb chakra. Men and women have them. It's not an actual physical thing within a body, and it's not gender. It actually has to do with your power center of where your soul births into a manifest creation. So we could actually interchange the term of womb chakra with basically our soul birthing. The place that really our soul can emerge, birth, and be created into a new manifest incarnational cycle and experience. So, what does that hold for our soul? Well, our soul then utilizes a womb chakra for accumulation of our consciousness, of our energy, of our ability to work with the manifest fields of creation around us. So if our life feels stuck, like it's not working, a lot of times that's coming because our womb chakra has too much other stuff in it, karmas in it, kamas, which are desires in it from other incarnational experiences, other people, energy binding that we've had with others. And so it's interesting as we start to look at Libra. Libra starts to bring us into really this energy of wholeness, balance. Well, what is that? When we look at cause and effect within creation, cause and effect is actually neutralizing the ripple waves of these karmas, if you will. And it's another neat way that we might be able to just real lateral look at it as a way to start to look at what are we clearing in our soul field, our soul records, our place where our soul likes to sit and then accumulates its ability to work with cosmic life forces within creation. So as we connect into this, I am going to invite to just keep in the back of your mind. It's not hard for us to know we're in Scorpio in the tropical sign. But it's really interesting, especially when we're going to look at two star nations. I'm going to do this because Scorpio has the penters, right? Well, interestingly enough, both those penters in the Scorpio constellation are actually within the constellation of Libra. So very interesting as we get to look at this as a potential duality, because this is going to be about balancing the masculine and the feminine, especially with the serpent lines as we get into it. So without too much more talk about that, let's go ahead and dive right in. I invite you guys to, again, just take this information that comes through. I love to share this galactic history. I'm a very curious explorer of the cosmic libraries. I definitely feel as though I've been a cosmic librarian for a very long time. So a lot of the things that I share with you on this YouTube channel and a lot of the materials that I have, I bring it to you as something that you can then utilize through your filters with your guardian, see if it resonates for you. And as we look at this star report, we're going to be looking at a lot of the connected star nations, but I really like to primarily put a lot of the focus on the human design and the gene keys. There's already a lot of amazing astrology reports out there that you can put together with this information. And so within this report, I hope to add a little bit of an extra flavor or layer for you of the gene keys, the human design perspective, and also looking at it from our galactic star nations and connections to the fixed stars within these very important times that we're going through right now. So let me go ahead and share our PowerPoint for today. And as we get to work with this today, just sharing so much love to all of you on the live today. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me in real time, and just extending that love to everyone that is going to watch this at a future time, because this is really what evolution, I feel, is really about. It's about us having our sovereignty, our ability to truly dream the dream we want to dream into creation. Yet there's something about sovereignty with collaboration, with connecting with others, with bouncing our star sparks with each other and dancing as these stars within creation. That when we get to start to really do this as a higher evolved, spiritual adult race line of beings, they're just much more fun, exploration, joy, happiness. It's this really neat thing that I think Libra really offers us when we look at the Libra energy is, on the scales, you could think of it as the cause and effect. Well, what is the cause and effect? It's really the imbalance of divine law or natural law. And then when we tilt it too much to say service to self, it begins to create a lot of the lower vibrational energies within creation. Yet, when we start to actually find that neutrality of that balance of that, we honor sovereignty and we honor our contribution, that we are not separate no matter what we do, even if we feel like we're all alone in the cosmos. Our energy is having ripple effects that are affecting all creation. So then it moves us towards this really beautiful path of service to others. But we know that even that path, if it is done in an unhealthy balance, can actually deplete our energy. So as we explore this, I really am going to invite us to keep that in the back of our mind. Like, where are we being this cosmic dance in creation where we're not taking too much, we're not giving too much, but yet we're still being a complete and a contributing whole within creation? It is a fine-tuned dance, isn't it? So within this, as we get to look at this, Venus is the planetary body that connects to Libra. This is a chart here that I have from some of Jeffrey Wolf Green's information. I love the evolutionary astrology perspective of astrology. And knowing that Libra has its dualities just like all the other signs. And when we look at this, that this vibration of the air sign automatically is going to bring in this energy of movement, activity, mental activity. It's going to bring in this energy of communication. It's seventh house. So it's all about relationships and the relationships that we have with others as we co-create within creation. How are we balancing these relationships? So it has a lot to do with the other. And I want to just touch in again on the balance of Venus, because we know Venus has another sign that it is ruler of, and that is Taurus. Taurus, it's about learning about self. Who am I? Second house energy. Who am I as myself? Who do I choose to be? As it's worked through the first house of I am and I am, and all the labels that we might want to say we are in this incarnation. Second house Venus starts to come in with this sense of self, but self in starting to be in relation to safety, to the material things around us, to the planet around us. Do I have the food I need? Do I have the comfort that I need? Do I have the provisions that I need? So it's about being cared for in kind of more of a survival still energy of self. And so the Taurus energy does have a lot of grounding, a lot of rootedness into being cared for in the material plane. Now, when we start to take that to next higher octave up, that also is going to have a lot to do with the harmony and balance of living in harmony, like the Namalu'u, as an evolved race of beings that worked in harmony with the planetary body of which we are receiving our nurturing and nourishment with. We want to remember that the divine mother is nature. When we think about the cosmic and the divine, the closest thing we have to connect to it is nature. Venus really starts to connect us into this on a couple of different octaves, a couple different ways in which we get to connect to the divine and the divine creation. And that first connection that we want to really recognize is through the elementals. It's through nature. It's through all of the different cosmic cycles of nature. And that mother always provides for us. So when we say mother, we're looking at cosmic mother, the womb, the egg of which we were all emerged from into creation. And all of this Milky Way galaxy, if you will, being, say, the cosmic womb or the cosmic egg of which we have spilled out into and are manifesting all these different realms, dimensions, dreams, and creations with, right? The Milky Way galaxy has everything we need. So every planetary body, when we incarnate onto a planet, here we are on Earth. Earth truly is providing for us everything we need. It gives us all of the different elements, the different nourishments, the different provisions that we need that we can truly not only survive, but thrive. And that's what Libra brings us into. So Taurus is going to be a little bit more on that. How do I have what I need to survive? And what are the different levels of luxuries and comforts that we might start to move into in that survival or that creation here? And as we now move into the next layer of it, the next octave of Venus now starts to take us into the collective, the tribe, the society. How are we now going to recognize, okay, so we have already created the substructures of how to survive, but now how do we do this not just as service to self? How do we do this as a collective service to others? How we all recognize there is compromise. Libra is all about negotiation, compromise, being the diplomat, the balancing of the scales, fairness. For those of you that have connection to Libra, be it tropical or the true sky sidereal, I know you feel this on the deepest way. Fairness is a big deal to you, right? You know, it's like this energy of making sure that there's truth, that there's fairness within things. Well, as we get to recognize that, now we start to get to realize that the Venus in the seventh house starts to be like, how can we begin to look at what will create something that runs off of higher ethics? So when we get into relationships, we start to come across another human. Say we are in the wild and all of a sudden we come across another human. There's the curiosity of meeting with each other, learning their customs, learning their ways, learning their I am. And as we do that, each of us that connects with each other, we learn from each other. The things that you do might not be the things that I have thought of. And the things that I do might not be the things that you've thought of. And so when we come together in a relationship with each other, we go, ah, wow, I didn't know that was possible. Aha. So it is known within the seventh house energy in our charts. And really look at this. What planets do you have in your seventh house? Do you have a stacked seventh house? A lot of planets in there? Do you have a very a skinny seventh house, not a lot going on in there? We're always going to have a seventh house regardless, and we always have transiting planets moving through it. But it's really the place where we're going to create relationships in our life. And not all relationships are going to be like these really beautiful, happy, joyful, exciting relationships that we're going to realize, oh, that was so exciting, like going to the park, right? A lot of our relationships that we get in our life are going to be karmic relationships. It's going to be relationships in where we are coming to learn how to balance the things that have been out of balance in our psyche, in our thinking, in our belief systems, in our self-worth, in who we think we are, all of these things. So a lot of healing in the seventh house through Libra. Think about it. It's in some ways you can almost think of it as like negotiations or coming into mediation, two aspects coming into mediation. Where have we given too much of our energy away? Or where have we been taking too much energy from others? And where do we learn to take self-sovereignty and responsibility? So as you look at some of these duality Libra key, see these as social energy, relationship energy, comparison energy is going to be a big thing. Seventh house, in a lot of ways, feeds off of where it was coming from. The sixth house has a lot of energy around, did I do things right? It's Mercury, it's mental, so it comes back into this spin. So the energy of the sixth house has a lot of vibration around self kind of judgment, self scanning and looking and seeing, and did I say it right? Did I do it right? Could I have done it better? and sometimes putting ourselves down for how we think we maybe did something. Sixth house is going to be how our physical body is, but also as work is. And the seventh house comes out of that, right? So they all kind of hold the energy of the house before them. So when we think about the mercurial energy of the sixth house before, it was kind of like spinning in oneself, being stuck in one's own head. Now we go out in relationship with others, and now it's not just judging ourselves within ourselves. Now it's about judging ourselves or comparison to others. And this is huge on the planet. This is really what feeds the retail marketplace out there, advertisement, a lot of the expulsion of, selling things and having things and one-upping the next person. Well, I have this car. My car does this. Well, look what my car does. Well, look at my house. My house has two bathrooms. Oh, that's awesome. My house has four bathrooms, right? So there is a huge energy out there through this social culture that can really be connected to the seventh house that starts to feed off of, how many likes do I have? How many people viewed this video? How many subscribers do I have? This is really what social media fed off of when it started to use AI to really get into our brain and our neuro processors to hit those serotonin hits and dopamine hits and such to get us addicted to our cell phones and things like this is because the social media aspect of the seventh house energy. And we are already wired to compare ourselves to others. This is such an old programming inside of us because again, think of old tribes coming together. Two tribes haven't seen each other. They come out of the woods, they see each other, automatic sizing each other up in comparison. Am I safe? Am I not safe? Are they going to kill me? Do I need to kill them? These are the old levels of thinking on the planet, and these are deep, 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 hardwired into our nervous system, into our reptilian brain, into our limbic system, patternings that come from our many incarnations of our ancestors before us. So how can we start to work with this? Because again, the Venus at the higher octave is starting to say, okay, we need to break out of our animalistic programming. Our animalistic programming just goes through the programs of what we've been trained to do and doesn't question or think about anything. This energy starts to say, okay, you're in a relationship that's not healthy for you. Are you doing the clearing processes? Are you catching where you're the mirror or the polarity of that energy, or where you are not being the validation, the love, or the veneration for yourself, and therefore you are attracting these types of relationships in your life? Are you being, see the flip side of this, right? The Casanova, no trust. This is also the flip side of the Libra energy can also want to take from others in order to fill the void within oneself. Okay, so this is interesting. So let's take this from the tropical, pardon me, let me scratch that last statement. Let's take this from the true sky perspective. We just came out of Virgo. Virgo went through a whole lot of the signs that would have been tropical Libra in the first place. But now we're looking, what was Virgo? Virgo was the harvest. It's the nurturing, the what we need to survive, right? And it's that time of gathering at the end of the year that we start to gather everything we need in order to have what we need to make it through the winter. Libra then could come in with this fairness, right? This fairness of how do we make sure all of the tribe has what they need to survive through the winter. But have you ever watched those survival shows that are out there? I think we decided to watch one time just for the curiosity, something like Survivor or something like this, right? And it's these kinds of shows where people have nothing. They go out into the wilderness or they get dropped off somewhere and then they have nothing. It is one of the most fascinating places to actually see human nature. And within that, inevitably, you're going to find individuals that are hoarding, that are hiding, that are squirreling away their little their food, and like, oh, other people might have some, not be eating or going a long time without having, yet they're over there with their little stash and they're like, well, I have enough to make it through for me, right? It's really interesting to start to look at this because we do have a lot of mixed um cedar race genetics in us, and it's just kind of interesting how when we look at this there is a huge polarity that we do battle within ourselves of really that service to self versus service to others, and really that healthy balance within there. So as we look at this energy coming into this time, the rest of kind of the planet is kind of looking at this again as Scorpio energy going into the underworld, already facing kind of the dark and the shadows. Whereas let's look at where Libra is going to take us as the true sky energy. We're going to have the 1111 portal in here. So this 1111 portal, interestingly enough, is going to be in true sky Libra. We're going to have a really a few things happening all right around the full moon. So the true sky Libra again is only 18 degrees. It's very short. So we're going to have only one lunar experience. We're only going to have a full moon. It's not long enough for there to be a new moon as well within this. So this is where it's starting to really show up that we're following the solar astrological signs, not the lunar. Now, within here, there's also something that's going to happen right around that time, and that is going to be the Leonid meteor shower. And I'm excited to talk about that a little bit just because there is some interesting stuff that tends to happen around that time, especially around contact with some of our guardian races during that time. So, within that, just knowing this, the fourth there's really a crossover time between the Virgo and the Libra energy. So knowing that there's usually about a day where signs will start to cross over into each other. And then this Libra will go until November 23rd. So within that, I hope some of those are interesting thoughts to play with as we look at this Libra energy, especially during this time, because as we know, the beginning of the sign, even starting at November 4th, this is going to be a really, I've already talked about this, I'm going to move past that. This is going to be a really important time that we're looking at. We know that the elections within the United States happen. The actual date is on the 5th, but there's a lot of early voting that is already happening. So all of this is really happening within the Virgo and into the Libra true sky energy. So interestingly enough, fairness, balance. We just had our new moon at the time of us doing this recording today. And that beautiful energy that we had as we worked with that. Oh my gosh, you guys, yesterday was such an amazing new moon ceremony that we had. It was in the gate 44. So even as we're starting into this energy of Libra, we're still within this gate 44. Gate 44 is this ancestral reverence. It is this energy of starting to really connect to um, karmic relationships in the past, and really moving into a way of how do we begin to find the veneration of the highest vibrational energies that our family tree, our genetics, our star families bring to us. So no matter what, when we look at the energy of the male serpents, the female serpents, the dragons, the angels, the winged lions, the great felines, all of these from, say, the stellar nations perspective, or even the arthropods, all of these different beings, we're going to realize we have all of these connections within us. How do we begin to find the highest realized beauty each of these genetic lineage lines that we are carriers of, all of their stories? How do we begin to connect to the divine purpose of which creation basically manifested these beings as template holders, their purpose within creation. Every single creation within our Milky Way galaxy or within the 15-dimensional time matrix, every single species, every creation, everything was created for some sort of template holding or some purpose. Even those that we would maybe start to say, oh, but those weren't created for a divine purpose. Well, we want to recognize that creator and the divine cosmic womb doesn't judge. It is basically a free will system. So it says, dream into creation. So as we get to see this, we get to there was divine dreams that were dreamed into creation. But then we know, even through the stories of the Voyagers, that we can see that the Elohim races basically had a breakaway and they became the Anu. A faction of them became the Anu Elohim. And these Anu Elohims got really kind of jealous of a lot of the angelic races that were being created within creation. And so they created what we hear of as the Anunnaki. Well, from the Voyagers' perspectives, the Anunnaki were created for a purpose. What was their purpose? Their purpose were the Avengers of Anu. So we want to recognize that when we talk about all creation as it starts to hybridize and step down. Sure, some of the creations aren't of, say, the highest divine purpose that lives in balance and harmony with creation, but they were all created with a purpose. And when we start to learn what that purpose is, then we can start to go into the karmic relationships within ourselves and begin to disband them, balance them, dissolve them. So as we see this, the gate 44 is really quite smack dab right in the middle of pretty much Virgo, Libra. Perfect, right? So as we look at that, what is that? What would that mean? Balancing of karmic relationships. It's really looking at this Virgonian energy and then moving into Libra that says, now let's really look at the relationships of everything. Take our full responsibility in these relationships that we have been a part of, and then begin to actually bring this balance. So the new moon happens smack in the middle, and then this, yeah, it happens right there. The switchover happens right between the Virgo and the Libra. So within this, there's a shift over between the Christ consciousness bears, and towards the end of it, as we look at this energy of the winged lion and the female serpent within Alphika, this is a very interesting constellation or fixed star for us to look at, because it's holding the winged lion energy, but it's also holding the female serpent energy. The female serpents were really they were created in tandem, in conjunction with the male serpents, one holding the wisdoms of spirituality, of our bodies moving in harmony with creation, the tantrics, the kundalini energies, the sacred spiritual sciences. And then the male serpents were really created to hold basically the 12 wisdoms, if you will, or the 12 knowledges. So these pillars of knowledge and wisdoms, kind of like the sciences. So they were really sciences of creation. I find this very interesting because even within the Voyager's perspective, so if you look at the stellar nations perspective of the male serpents, and then you look at Voyager's materials, they're both saying there's 12 knowledges. Well, the Voyagers is saying there's 12 CDT plates, Cloister Doratora plates, that came from the Sirius star system, that they were made from the materials in the Sirius system, which were libraries of all the cosmic wisdoms in creation, that held all of the ascension mechanics of how all of this universal 15-dimensional time matrix functioned, so that all creation would have a record of how to work with divine law or work with creation, how to work with the sciences and the spiritual mechanics of this creation, right? So you got the female serpents really kind of holding more of the energies of the sound tones, of the body movements, of the tantrics, of working with the physical forms in creation and the sacred spiritualized sciences of how to keep bodies in form as sacred instruments that stay in connection to the cosmos. And then the male serpents were in charge of these 12 libraries or knowledges. So there is a parallel in there that we might be able to explore between these two bodies of work. Well, within the stellar nations perspective, the both of these serpent families started to get infiltrated. They had outside influences that began to whisper in their ear, get into their head, get into their thoughts, and start to make them question. One of the main individuals that they questioned were the cosmic bears. The cosmic bears are the representations of the Christ consciousness families. So the bears were really the Christos mission template holders. We would see these as uh, really within the stellar nations, kind of the symbology that holds, say, this Christos mission or this emerald order that was being played out through all the other star nations. But within there, we recognize that they're like messengers, and then the messengers would start to um, be attacked generally within incarnational experiences because whispers would go into individuals. Do you trust it? Do you not trust it? And I think we could see within all of history as we look at it, there's not very many beings that are recognized when they're in creation or in incarnation. Usually, the first part of their lives, there's a lot of skepticism, there's a lot of questioning, there's a lot of sense of uncertainty as to are they special? Are they not special? And then usually it's after they have left the physical body or transitioned out that then later their works become venerated as spiritualized texts and knowledge. And we see this all the time with different beings that have come to the planet. Well, as we start to look at this Alphika energy, I think it's very interesting because it is actually connected to Venus in itself. It has everything to do with heartfelt connections, feminine leadership, through nurturing, through healing. And I want to actually, I'm going to read you guys a couple things. And this is going to be from page 298 within the Star Walk book. I share this one with you guys quite a bit from Paige Bryant, Star Walking. It's the shamanic practices for traveling into the night sky. So I really like it. There's a lot of different lateral perspectives. Within the constellation Corona Borealis, the star Alphika sends a ray to Earth that opens a communication channel for incoming energies from the cosmic initiators known as the Lapikas or karmic or karma lords. This stellar wave is responded to only by highly evolved incarnated human souls and their counterparts within the other kingdoms. This is really interesting because if you dissect what that's really saying, so when we think of karma, what is karmic? Karmic lords. This could be a lot about Libra in some way. Really, it's cause and effect. There, in some ways, you would probably see these as some of the divine template holders, like the Elohim. And we are going to have a talk here pretty soon about the Elohim and their different roles. The Elohim are a created race line, and they are, I'm not going to say they are good or not good. They are all holding multiple stations. So please recognize that when we say Elohim, we are not referring to one individual. We are not referring to something that is good or not good. It's not much different than if I was to say, wing lion or a created type of race line of being. They have also chosen to go multiple different ways because the Elohim are going to be part of the Anu Elohim, connected to a lot of these Anunnaki races as well as those that hold the higher stations. The Elohim were created for holding divine law, holding structure in place, judiciary types of roles, honestly, within creation. And then many of them started to get their own ideas about how the law should be. And this is where a lot of things started to shift and change. Well, if we start to think of this as Alfika holding these energies of these higher stations so that when it comes into alignment with something, it opens up higher levels of channels of communication. So it would be like being able to really have a lot more communion or connection to the spiritual courts, to the places where you could work with different councils, guardian races to begin to actually look at divine law and to actually start to bring the balance back into creation that has maybe thrown off cause and effect or thrown off the cosmic spiral of creation from having a clean flow through the stargates or the cosmic clocks. So when we look at that, this is very interesting because it's saying those that have more of this radiance within or connection to this, that this is a time, if you have alignments to Alphika within your chart, if you have alignments to this energy, where it really highlights very specific things as maybe say transiting planetary bodies are moving through it. This would be very important for you to look at because this would be times where you might have higher connection to being able to have levels of communication. So this, just know that at this time, Jupiter and Venus are in opposition to each other. So Venus is something we're talking about a lot here. Well, Venus and Jupiter in opposition. So that means that wherever this is playing out in your chart for you, what's in the opposition to this? Something really big might be coming into your life, challenging you to really look at maybe where things have need to be looked at. Where are things really kind of in karmic relationships really big? Venus starting to open up to you where you maybe not in the greatest alignment to the highest social, moral values. This is the biggest battle that is going on with these different elections and different things that are going on the planet. You can see within a lot of the different energies on the planet, there is a huge tug and pull between a lot of noise about um, fairness and balance for things from the past, and a lot of noise and energy about how do we start to actually move forward into the future? How do we start to move into something different, something new? How can we actually be here in this now moment? This is really a huge vibration. There's a tug between logic and heart that is going on in a big way too. And this is also being amplified by Pluto and Mars are being in an opposition. Pluto is still wanting to hold us into the dogmas of the past, whereas Mars has this ferocity coming in this gate 56 that wants to move forward, that it wants stimulation. How can we break free from these past energies that have been moving? So our new moon that we had, this is still a powerful time if you guys want to work with this energy. How do you actually start to take this and move it in to what you want to plant into the seeds of the future? Really starting to take this discernment we're going to see of being able to get out of areas where we have allowed the opinions and the thoughts of others to cloud our judgment from what we actually truly know is truth. And one of the biggest things I would say is to really step into this energy of the guardian councils, working within the spiritual courts, working within that Christ alignment and these higher vibrational planes that allow us to start to see things as divine law from beyond this 15 dimensional time matrix, because truly the shadow of this energy truly is just this whole energy of interference that happens. And within that interference, think about those voices that got into the heads of the male serpents and the female serpents that literally had them turning on their own teammates. That just because these beings were coming in as bears doesn't mean they were different. It just meant that they were just a different specialized team working on the same mission. But things can get so confusing in the Maya and the illusion that it's easy to have our head filled with deception and not know what to trust. And that would be that distrust or misjudgment that we might have with this gate 44. Well, as the fourth comes, we're coming towards the end of this energy of the gate 44. And we're going to be moving into the gate 1. Now, I love this energy because as you're going to see, the gate 1 is a full Scorpio energy, but the gate 1 pairs with the gate 2 that actually is this harmony to the cosmic life forces. The gate one and two start the entire gene keys journey. So we would see this through, say, the I Ching, and this energy of the gate one and two is literally going to be the Shakti and the Shiva energy. So what are we going to be dealing with here? Literally Tuesday is the 5th, so that will be that final day, huge energies. I'm really highlighting the elections that are happening in the United States currently because it's not just the United States that's getting affected by this. There are literally countries all over the world that are watching what is happening because what happens here is going to affect all around the world. And this is a big, big, big deal. We really want to utilize our own discernment. We're going to realize that that Jupiter-Venus opposition, the degrees might be still close enough that it's having some influence, but the pairing of it in the gene keys moves away. So the opposition between the Venus and the Jupiter starts to lighten up, but the Pluto and Mars is going to hold on for another week as we move through this time. So we might know that the election final day will be on the 5th within the United States, but it's really, we know the energy after that is going to be massive upon the earth field. Well, let's look at some of what is going on with the stellar nation within here. We have one alignment, and that's with Zubin El Janubi. And this is really going to be very, very interesting because the Zubin El Janubi, and then the following week we're going to have a connection with Zubin Eshkamali. These names are very interesting. I'll actually show you the picture of it really quick. It'll be right over here. Okay, so that's the other claw. So this is going to be considered the south claw or the south pincher of Scorpio. This is connected to the female serpents, the priestesses, the mystery priest, tantric path, the left-hand path, if you will. This also holds a huge energy. So please know these two, I wanted to show the North Claw and the South Claw because they actually have a rivalry going on. It's the female serpents, literally, who were created simultaneously with the male serpents in the Sirius constellation. So again, this is that tie into the CDT plate saying they came from the Sirius constellation. Now, within this, we're going to recognize this as a rivalry between the male serpents and the female serpents. The female serpents, again, were holding the tantric path. They were literally implanted with these poisonous thoughts. So they started to actually act against their divine order. They became sneaky, deceitful, all of the things, misusing the sacred tantras energies, all of these kinds of things. So recognizing within this energy of the Zubin Al-Janubi, this is going to be the South Claw, which I also think is interesting because that goes along with the energy of the left-hand path, the feminine path. The left-hand path is the tantric path. When you look at it, it is connected to the Maris, the Magdalene teachings, all of these sacred starfire mystery teachings. Well, within that, many of them got infiltrated. There was this whole battle against each other. And so basically, the male serpents again were starting to work with the sciences. So think of that as cloning, hybridization, genetic modifications, utilizing sciences to manipulate creation rather than utilizing our own spiritualized connection to the cosmos to work with things. But recognize both paths have the ability to manipulate creation. Whether you are manipulating creation through magic, black magic, rituals, sacred rituals utilized in reverse for service to self or to impose spells, curses, or superimpositions on someone, that's still using spiritual sciences in a self-serving way. In the same way, sciences can be used as a beneficial to promote things, to help things, or to be used to harm things, to take things, or to control things. So we're seeing within here, very interesting at this time on our planet, Pluto and Mars still being in opposition here, we're seeing that what this energy brings to us as this Libra vibration is, where are you going to choose? What are you going to choose? What are you going to hang on to? The idea of revenge is such a dark energy. The idea of hanging on to things, blame for things, all of these types of things, really one of the deepest poisons that we're holding in our consciousness. And remember, they got poisoned in their thoughts. Well, what gets in our thoughts are these ideas of, oh, revenge and making others pay for what they have done, and all of these kind of riots and all of these kinds of energies that can get in there. Well, in the female serpents, interestingly enough, are quite riled up at the time, at this time, um, on the planet, just for definitely really kind of coming into a sense of being recognized for wisdom, for power, for that same equal holding within creation. So we're realizing that we actually have to get rid of the battle completely. There is no revenge that's ever going to fix the past. There's nothing we're ever going to do as a physical act that is going to make someone, bow down enough, kneel down enough, say I'm sorry enough, do enough penance, do all of these things that are ever going to make up for things that happened in the past, in our past incarnations, to our past ancestors here on the planet Earth, in the Pleiades, in the Sirius star system, in Orion. We're literally being used like puppets to play out the karmas that are being dumped on us, that have been played out millennia ago in other star systems, and they're not even our battles. And the only way for us to really truly begin to clear these is take it to the womb. Take it to the womb chakra. Do the clearing within ourselves that we get to recognize that within creation. But if we are seeking revenge, if we are seeking some sort of vindication, or for some certain group to be made wrong, or to have to suffer for things that have happened in the past, we want to recognize that will never balance the future. It is just dumping more and more karma and debt onto our souls, onto our reincarnational cycles. Because the ludicrousy of it is that most of these agendas that are out there are seeking revenge or seeking veneration for things that literally didn't even happen into them or in their lifetime. And so this is where we need to say enough and take it to the spiritual court so we can begin to balance this, because there's no party that is without having a hand in what is playing out on this earth plane. There is no savior that is going to come. There is no person that is going to come that is going to be the savior of everything, that is going to fix everything. What we're looking for is people that have the courage to stand up against these negative forces and say no. But the responsibility lies within all of us. That's what Libra is really about. It's balancing the relationship within ourself to ourself as a divine cosmic being that recognizes there is no other person that's ever going to fulfill us, fill the hole, make us feel better about who we are, or make us feel seen, loved, or heard. That is our job. And this is massive, because what is gate one? Gate one is all about this idea of creative self-expression. It is the energy of Shiva. So the Shiva, and then the gate two would be the Shakti. The Shakti would be that which then gives birth to everything. Within the Gene Keys perspective, the gate two is the most powerful energy and is responsible for all creation. We are not venerating the divine cosmic mother as a genderized thing. It is literally an energy of nature. But we really do want to recognize that we used to have a, a societal awareness within all creations of the divine cosmic mother. That it was not a patriarchal system, it was a divine feminine system, that we recognize the womb energies of all creation, and therefore we created within harmony balance and beauty within these creations. Well, the Shiva energy within here is amazing because I love gate one. It's all about be yourself, be your own creative expression within the universe, and don't give a hoot about what anybody else thinks about who you are. So it's about recognizing what we need to get out and just be ourselves, be our authenticity, not because we're operating from reactivity wounds from the past. If you were brand new in this lifetime and didn't have any memory of anything that had ever happened within anything that had happened in this 15-dimensional time matrix, and you just came as this bright, shining core star that you are with just pure cosmic creative energy within you, what would you be? Would you want to sing? Would you want to dance? Would you want to be creative? What would you want to manifest? What would you want to be the architect or the builder or the creator of within this manifest creation? We let other people's thoughts, ideas, and beliefs limited us. And that is what the shadow is. It's entropy. It's holding ourselves back. It's our shutting ourselves down. It's limiting our own light and our gifts of who we could be. So within this, the gate one is going to inspire us at this time. Think about this. From the fifth, you guys, from the fifth to the ninth is going to be intense. There's going to be a lot of energies shaking and moving on the planet. We always want to come back into our divinity within ourselves. We want to come into that beauty within ourselves, our own unique expression in creative ways. That within that, when we be that, then we can actually be, I love this, with this gate, it's as if you can feel all the potential of a new creation, and your passion is in taking that creativity and manifesting it into something that can change the world. You inspire others just by being and doing what you love. And this inspiration draws others to see you as someone to learn from. What an amazing partnership and relationships, sovereign relationships. That is amazing. So as we hold this energy, I'm really just going to invite so many of you, please, please, please. I know we have this week of energy that we've been working with, but as we come into the gate one on the 5th, as we come into this next week, let us remember this. Let us hold this energy because we truly are the Om Shade the pillars of first cause light that have the ability to be the the blueprinters, the builders, the architects of this creation. And how do we want to recreate this dream that we are in? We want to recognize that whatever is being projected out into the field or in the dream is a battle between different race lines and beings that are trying to pull things into their projected timelines. So read the Voyagers 1 book again if you want to understand this. The angelic realities that we just did a live read on, powerful for explaining this. Parallel Earth, merging timelines. We have the Zeta race lines and these service to self race lines that are working with different reptilian race lines and other race lines. What are they doing? They want to pull us into their dystopian race, their dystopian types of timelines, where truly they can actually overtake the real estate of planet Earth. So we want to take away all judgments of anything and look at where are we standing up for the divine cosmic nature and its sovereignty for our continued evolution into the future. This is a really, really big thing. I love this, you guys. So after that, we're going to move into a really powerful energy. This will be our full moon energy coming up towards the end of the 15th. The 1111 portal comes within this gate, and this is going to be the gate 43, the gate 43 insights. This is huge. This is going to be coming from the Ajna Center within the Human Design Chart. And as we look at this, this is going to now bring in that male serpent energy, but it's also going to be paired by a female serpent energy and a bear's energy. So how cool is this? So let's continue the story of what was going on during some of these battles. Well, the female serpents got really manipulated, so they began to misuse their energy. The male serpents were also being manipulated and actually started to go after things. Well, there was a whole battle when you look at it from the Stellar Nations perspective of really from the stellar nations perspective, it talks about the Melchizedek, so the patriarchal Melchizedek. So these would have been like um, the Templar Melchizedeks that started to get infiltrated into the patriarchal system. So we know there's a split up of the Melchizedek lineage lines that happened through the 12 tribes and after the Atlantean cataclysm times. I think that's what this story is really about, but also talks about Archangel Michael, or the Michael energy, having to come in as an intermediary or a force to come in to begin to shut down some of the battles and the destruction that was taking place at this particular time. Well, the male serpents in this, they're the north claw of the Scorpio, of the scorpion. So within this, there was tensions. It was about starting to recognize a lot of infiltrations at this time into the spiritual teachings. We had a lot of the Syrian Anunnakis coming in during the Atlantean times, infiltrating in to the sacred teachings and misusing the CDT plate wisdoms in order to begin to actually create control structures. This was one of the massive times on planet Earth when um, rulerships really started to create divisions of the people and what we might think of as countries on the planet. So we would sit and go like, isn't it interesting that there are countries, that we are divided by borders all over the place on this planet, and that we are kept segregated in order for us to um, have to be within these set parameters. Well, those parameters actually originated during these times because what happened is these Syrian Anunnakis, as they came in and started to breed, they started to give rulership and rights to their children. And so their children were like, well, I want something. I want to have a race line of people. I want my own country. I want to be the ruler of something. And so they would say, okay, well, you get this area. And everything in this particular area, this will be yours. And then, this continued on until the whole Earth planet started to get divided up. Why was it divided up? What are these borders for? They're not necessarily, even though this is aside from all the political stuff that is going on right now. The original inception of borders and what borders were created for was not to keep things out. It was actually to keep them in, because whatever was inside the borders, all of what was accrued within there, all the riches, the taxes, all of the people, all of the energy, all of the loosh, all of the wealth of what was in the borders, then belonged to whomever that leader or that ruler was. And that's really what has been going on. And we have been tossed around between all of this. And this really came heavily into place during these Atlantean times, towards the later part in the cataclysmic times, because what was coming in at this time? Well, we had new incarnates coming in. So we're going to bring in the bears here. We had new incarnates coming in through the Christ lineage. So new messianic beings, if you will. So new teachers, new Christ consciousness teachers, new Christos mentioned teachers coming in and incarnating into the planet. Well, they were seen as a threat. So now you have these male serpent lineage lines that they're like, no, 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 no. We've controlled all the teachings and now we actually have power. So when you read about a lot of even the Elohim and the gods and the different um, rulers that were on the planet through different texts, the Nag Hammadi text, the biblical text, all of the different texts that are on the planet, the ancient Hebrew text, when you really decipher and read it, you start to actually get to see this dynamic of these ruling factions that started to really enjoy having power or being lords or gods over their people. And within this, as the Christ message would keep coming back into the planet, what was the true Christ message is God is within you, unity. All have the right, all are sovereign, all are free, all of us are the royal children of the divine. Well, this had multiple meanings that we were the royal children of the divine. We also have the true royal bloodline of the genetics to the cosmic divine mother. And so, knowing this was recognized, it meant that if that was recognized as a true law on the planet, none of their kingdoms were legal or could exist. And so they had to destroy all of the teachings of the true Christos teachings on the planet, because if they survived, all of their rulership would not be recognized by their serfs, their slaves, their people, those that were their subjects that they owned. And this is where we start to see it into current time, where we think of this as the bloodline families, the Illuminati families, the ruler families, the unseen, the 1%. Use whatever terms you want, but we're seeing this as a very ancient drama, family drama that has gone on here on this planet, and we're caught in the middle of it. It's not just some mystery that we're mythology or something. We're being asked to actually start to look at the records again and see what is going on the planet. Well, as we're getting to see this within here, we're getting to recognize that the male and female serpent lineage lines do come from a divine line. And it's about whatever genetics, whatever part of that is in our cosmic human form, whatever genetics we have of that, many of us are all like here to restore or bring harmony and balance to whatever the misuse of power has been. Misuse of sexual energy, misuse of knowledge for power, and every other variation that we can have. We want to start to recognize if we have any of that playing out in our life, where do we take responsibility for any ways it's played out in this 15-dimensional time matrix, and start to bring balance to it. That even within the bearer's energy, we want to bring balance. Now, I want to read a little bit on the Unukali serpents alignment that is going to be happening here, because these are going to be happening. So we're going to have Unukali and then the Beta Centaurus connections a little bit closer to the full moon. So we're going to recognize we have a lot of this balance of right use of knowledge for the 1111 Stargate. Well, the 1111 Stargate, in another perspective or galactic perspective, is actually going to be the belt of Orion. And the 1111 in that gateway that moves us to, well, what is the belt of Orion and Mintaka? That is the metagalactic core. That is our higher heart within the 12 tree sphere of life. And when we look at the higher heart was actually one of the primary strands that was removed for the regressive or digressive races. So we're implementing the higher heart and our permission to move back through the metagalactic core to have all of the connections again, to actually merge our consciousness back into our Christ avatar God self, to have full levels and stations of identity within this 15-dimensional time matrix. This is massive for us. Well, this is also going to be happening so on the 15th, leading us into the full moon. And I do want to say the full moon is going to be leading us up in and in the window of what is referred to as this Leonid meteorite shower. The meteorite shower actually starts around the 3rd of November and goes towards a little bit towards the end of November. And the peak time of it, if you look it up, is going to be, and there's a great website like Earth Sky, I think, has a really great write-up on it. But the peak day is going to be basically the 17th, the night of the 17th, so 17th and 18th within there. That's going to be right around the full moon, you guys. The full moon is actually going to be in the gate 23. Now, let's actually just tap into the gate 43 really quick. And I'm going to tell this through the story again of this connection to serpents, alpha serpents, and the Unu Kali race line here. So as we connect to this, I picked this nature picture in here because these beings are really special. If you have any kind of alignments to this within the gate 43 upon your chart, this without a doubt would be like a starseed mark on your chart that you are here to be a healer. You are here to heal. You are here to work with nature. You are here to work with the cosmic flows and energies. This energy is all about the plant kingdom, healer energy, working with pure heart healing energy, herbs, crystals, becoming connected to the divine cosmic flows again. And so, if you were to look in the Stellar Nations work, this is the sacred divine feminine female serpent that is literally one in the flow with being that. Um, Plant medicine, the plant shaman, if you will, working with the sacred elements of the earth and doing natural healing, herbal healing, crystal healing, nurturing healing in all of its different ways. It is again the energy of the insights. One of the coolest things about this energy is that it's really about this kind of like poof, this third eye awakening and just these downloads. There is a vibration to this of being able to block out the rest of the world. So there is a good side and a not good side to this. I will say I actually have the gate 43 and I have to be careful with it because I can get so in the zone doing something that I'll literally drown out the rest of the world. It'll be just kind of like I can focus on maybe working on this and it's like I don't hear anything. And that can create a sensation to others around that they are being ignored or that they are not being heard. So we want to recognize that it's great because it can help us block out the inconsequential things. It can help us put a block to things, but we also want to be very mindful within it that we are not utilizing deafness to block out things that we actually do maybe need to bring into our awareness and to pay attention to. So it is a great thing to many times collapse, dissolve, and delete that deafness part of the gate 43, collapse it to open up to actually just new perspective, new insight, because what is the energy of it is breakthroughs. How do we have breakthroughs if we only have our blinders on, right? So that is one vibration. Let me read this from this book again. So within here on, again, it is still on page 298 within the Star Walking book. And it says Ulukal Hai. It says in the constellation of serpents. So serpents, however, is the most commonly used. The star Unukal Hai provides a stimulus that helps perpetuate the life force within the plant kingdom. It enhances the medicinal and nutritional value of plants throughout the world. It is being utilized at this time by the regulators to benefit the forests of the world, particularly to help sustain the vitality of the rainforest and old growth forests before it's too late. The regulators in here, you could see this is just another kind of station. This could also, in some ways, you could see this as maybe different stations within the Elohim or different beings, but regulators being a term that gets used quite a bit as energy forces that balance. I found that very fascinating. The Stellar Nations, as well as this shamanistic book in here, both had similarities within how they perceive the nature of this star nation of the female serpents is really this healing nature coming back into that creation. Well, if we need to tap into nature in order to know the Divine Mother, what an amazing time this could be for us during this time. Again, the sun will be in the gate 43, while the new moon will be in the gate 23. So let's look at what this next full moon could bring for us with these breakthroughs. Now, the gate 23, interesting, the moon will be in oppositions. The moon actually during the full moon time that's going to happen on the 15th, it's going to push over Uranus and Algol. We've talked a lot about those two. That could be a really intense energy, honestly, because Algol, again, that Medusa energy, really kind of it can bring up that a level of having been deceived, having had our head cut off for the self-serving purpose of someone else. As we get to look at this, we want to recognize Uranus and Algol's been creating a huge energy of really kind of moving things towards what is correct. Algol has a deep darkness to it if it is misused or the power of it is not used correctly. Well, I find that very interesting in the sense that when we look at the Divine Mother in her many forms, if you look at it through the different aspects of Kali or Tara, I utilize these two divine feminine representations a lot because they are not singular. Kali is not just Kali. Tara is not just Tara. There's multiple Taras, and each one has a different characteristic to them. There are multiple aspects of Kali because there's different natures to the Divine Mother. While the algal, in a misused way, could be seen as the darkest of the representations of the Divine Mother. Whereas if you learn how to clear your womb chakra and your shadows within yourself, the Divine Mother loses that scariness within there. And what she does is she opens up the door to all of the cosmic wisdoms in nature. So this is very interesting. I know the story of Medusa is a lot different in that, but this is just a perspective for us to be able to take because when you actually look at algal from different perspectives, you're going to see that each one holds a little bit of a different star story within there that we can tap into. And as we're clearing these energies, gate 23 is about assimilation. Well, what are we assimilating? The very first sentence, the very first statement in here, splitting apart, assimilation. So that which has been split, really coming back together again. The awareness and understanding which leads to the acceptance of diversity. This is where inspiration and inner knowing are translated into language, and it opens up the possibility for new ways of thinking to be shared with others. These ideas can be radically different than what others are used to, so it's important to honor the right timing when speaking. This is important. We want to really realize that without a good sense of timing or listening from the heart, no idea will be a good idea. Because any idea that is shared from reactivity, anger, vindication, revenge, or some desire to like make things right that are I'm gonna say it this way. There's a comedian out there, and I absolutely adore him. Brad Williams, and he's a little person. I absolutely love him. He's very irreverent, very inappropriate in all the funniest ways. But he had such a great presentation at one point. He was talking about how that when people try to speak up or stand up for groups of others, that in truth, what they're doing is they're actually reiterating the belief system out into the collective that there's something wrong with them. So, as a group, that is a very specialized group that he was a part of, he was talking about how annoying it was for him for people that really wanted to speak up for the right way to talk about little people or the right way to do this or the right way to do that. And that every time that that happened, it was really actually making that group as if it was less than too weak, couldn't take care of itself. Whereas we want to just kind of recognize that there is a healthy balance in everything. That if certain things come through the guise of love, but it's really spoken with hate, we want to read the true energy, listen from our heart, and that with direct and divine timing, that if we learn how to listen from the heart, we'll know the right timing how to speak and the right words with which to speak. And that's the full moon. I think that's really amazing. Let's take this to the quantum level of where this is going to go with the gate 23. So on the 15th, we are going to be in the Leonid constellation. So now as we move out of the gate 4323, we're going to be now moving into the gate 14. We'll still have the remnants and the energy of the full moon with us. Gate 14, power skills. But this is also going to be time when we're going to be in this really beautiful energy and connection to the Leonid meteor shower. This is actually a time in history where there is recorded a lot more um, extraterrestrial contact with different beings, like higher dimensional beings, maybe like tall white types of beings. Um, Really kind of recognizing that when there is a lot of heightened energy coming from these kind of movements or light emanations in the sky. So we are star that you are when there are um, things like meteor showers and things like this. It's amplifying the energies of where we are connecting to neutrinos that are showering into our consciousness. Our consciousness has the ability to open. It also creates a heightened energy within what I would say the radionic fields of the earth in order for a lot of higher dimensional beings to have more ability for contact. So this I think is really amazing. So if we're still working with that gate 23, the assimilation within there, that ability for opening our heart to have the ability to basically begin to listen from the heart so that we can maybe bring in new language, new thoughts, and new words in a new way. This might be a really powerful thing for us to connect into and how to work with this for this time of um, potential expanded dreams, connection to your guardians, the councils. We are all having a lot more direct, individual telepathic connection and direct contact with these beings. We don't need channels. We don't need anyone outside of us to share these messages with us. Create your own connection to your higher self team, your guardian team, the councils in alignment to the Christ consciousness and to the Aquiline sun. At this time when it's happening, the sun is going to be um, in opposition to Uranus. So that's that algol energy. So just recognizing we're already working with this, it's constantly in there. The sun is going to actually be a really powerful luminary in the sky to help us begin to work through this. What can we do with this? So this is also going to be a connection to the Alpha Centaurian family lineage lines. I'll talk about them with the next slide over here. The Alpha Centaurians are directly connected to Earth. They have a lot of direct contact. They actually physically visit the Earth a lot. They are one of our closest cousins to the Earth. And when we connect to them, they're going to help us recognize that there is a lot more going on technologically on this planet than we might not even know about. Part of this is a lot of the inner Earth civilizations, the inner Earth realms, the inner Earth different tunnels, stargates, structures, so on and so forth. They are a much higher advanced civilization within the Centaurus constellation. They do work with a lot of the guardian councils, and their primary thing is about really many times assisting Earth in hopefully us giving us the tools for how do we evolve out of the types of structures that we're bound to on the Earth. They have new healing technologies, new ways in which we work more through what would be like a clan or a tribe type of system versus countries or leader type of systems. So what they really do is they have councils or collectives that represent the group. So it's kind of like bringing it localized back into your town or your city where you live. There's a recognition that when the power is given too far away, that power will eventually become misused because it's too far removed from the sources of which it is meant to be in control of. And that really we want to bring things more localized into such a way that individuals have the right to their sovereignty, their individuality, the way that they create. And the Alpha Centaurians really function this way. But there is a base law of ethics that runs through there that is very similar to the higher councils, like the Andromedan councils and the Lyran councils and the Christ consciousness Syrian councils. So to know that there is kind of a base universal law of ethics And then upon that law of ethics, individuality, creativity, uniqueness can be built upon it. So the Alpha Centaurians are really very interestingly connected to the Earth in many ways, but they have also gone through a lot of deception and lies by a lot of the other different races upon the planet, specifically a lot of the reptilian Draco lineage lines and such that have deceived them quite a few times to get into some of the inner Earth stations. Now, as we get to look at this vibration, I want to recognize there is the cousins, if you will, within the Beta Centauri. And the Beta Centaurians have a little bit of a different energy that they hold because the Beta Centaurians really hold this vibration in of a lot of the unhealed pain, shame, dark betrayal, the spiritual agony, the deep states of guilt from all the different times. Think about it from the male serpent and the female serpent lines where we did fall to the temptations, to the misuse, to all of these different things. So if you have a lot of Beta Centaurian energy within your chart or Beta Centaurian connection, there is sometimes a lot of heaviness within life or a lot of uh, difficulty getting rid of sometimes this feelings of heaviness of pain, shame, guilt, of having to kind of work with things, feeling responsible, feeling so much of other people's energy so much. Well, both the Alpha Centaurians and the Beta Centaurians are they're Lyran descendants. So basically on a genetic lineage, descendants, specifically also really connected to Pleiadian Lyran as well. And as we look at this, what we're looking at as an energy of how do we start to work with some of the technologies that are coming from our star seeds that are coming to the planet, the free energy in the air, the crystalline energy that is in the planet, the abilities to work with clean sources of energy. And this has nothing to do with the negative alien agenda that is being proposed to us right now by um, climate change and all of these different things. We need to delete and dissolve that out of our consciousness. That is something that is being puppeted and played on us because the things that are being proposed by those beings are not still free energy sources. What we're looking to connect to is look to the little star seeds that are coming on the planet right now that are bringing back a lot of the technologies. They're inventing it. I think they're going to start inventing it in droves. They were able to shut down beings like Nikola Tesla and many, many other beings that have already created free energy sources for the planet. Literally, there is more free energy just in the space around our body that could literally like power an entire city than there is in any of these um, solar power things or anything that is still taking energy through devices of those sorts. We want to recognize that I think, and this is just a personal thought, that there's so many star seeds that are going to be incarnating onto the planet, just popping this wisdom out of their minds and just inventing it, that there's going to be too much. There's going to be too much of a flooding of it for the negative alien agendas to be able to shut it down anymore. And so that might be a neat thing to kind of hang on to because the power skills is really amazing. It's about energy, making money, making resources, creating in the physical reality by doing what we love. And that this love of what we do should be done for the greater good and for the prosperity of all. That when we respond to these energies within ourselves through these types of vibrations, that when we do the things we love and think of how it will benefit the many, we will actually see great, great, great bounty coming back to the earth plane and to the experience, the lack, the limits, the limitation, and all of the negative alien agenda of this Armageddon timeline will dissolve and disappear. So as we move out of that, we have just a couple of days in the gate 34, which is another power gate, the gate of just massive energy. This is a manifesting generator energy. So no matter what, when we're in this energy of the time of 21, it is when we will be moving into what is the tropical Sagittarius towards the end of this energy, true sky Libra. And as we look at this, it's connected to the female serpents. It's two of them. And both of these have a lot to do with nurturing, especially the yed prior is going to be connected to this energy like the electra energy. So really healing the divine sexuality, healing the divine feminine energies, bringing back these sacred feminine energies. Deshuba is another powerful energies as we connect to this, recognizing these are very beautiful higher dimensional beings that really assist the heart of Antares as we connect to beginning to heal the heart of Antares. The heart of Antares really allows us to bring higher spiritualized wisdoms, our records, our crystallized records back into creation. We'll see that we don't have another moon alignment in the Libra constellation. The next new moon will be on the 30th, so it'll be within true Scorpio, or the sign of Sagittarius as it'll be on the planet. But just knowing as we step into this energy with the female serpents, again, the energy of pure power to empower. This is starfire, Kundalini energy, sacred womb chakra energy. When we begin to really truly heal our womb chakra, we'll really recognize that we all have the ability to create miracles, manifestation, dream what we want to create into creation. That it truly can be this energy of right here, strength and majesty, really bringing the uniqueness to the world, but allowing full pure power to empower not only ourselves but others. And that as we get to recognize this energy, you guys, I think there is so much bounty, beauty, just manifestation that we can bring into creation. We want to recognize that we are all responsible for our own dream, that as we look at these energies and we look at all of the different dynamics that are happening on the planet, it can seem very challenging or frustrating to see all of the deception, the lies, the outright manipulation that is happening. That literally we have an entire party on the planet right now that doesn't think they have to play by the rules. They make up their own rules. Like it's like playing that game of tag, and you have the safe base, but then you play with that person that keeps going like, no, I'm safe. This is safe base now. No, this is safe base now. No, oh, but that's not safe for you. You're the one that's in trouble. And it's like, you don't want to play with that person anymore. It's like you're just like, I'm not choosing that. Well, what we need in our own path, recognize we all have that lens of insight within us. We all have it. And we start to get rid of the blinders when we start to get rid of the places where we haven't been looking, or where we have been programmed. We'll start to realize it's all clear as day. Everything is just as laid out and as clear as possible. And it's not our job to have to fight against it, to challenge it in any way. That we can learn to listen from the heart, learn from that right timing, speak at that right timing. That right timing, our words will become so much more powerful. I think Libra is going to be such a really interesting time for us, you guys. It is the scales, it is balance, it is fairness, it is truth. It wants the bounty and the beauty for all. How can we hold that within our heart? How can we recognize this within this time of timelines? How can we be the catalyst to collapse the timelines and the dreams that do not serve the divine purpose of wholeness, balance, truth, love, and divine law? And then how can we be the dreamers of that divine love and that divine law dream into manifestation and creation? You guys, I love you guys so much. Thank you for letting me share this with you. If you are interested in all diving into some of the more technical mechanics of building your energy, working with your womb chakra, working with the chelantic activations and mechanics, and building up your energies in order for you to really truly become the dreamers of your own dream, please check out my website withbecca.com. Check out the Flame Holders membership group. Is amazing. It is like such a love and a passion. This is something I would love to share this with you. not only is it a way that we get to support each other, amplify these energies, amplify this sovereignty and this spiritual adulthood here on the planet, but it's also a really neat way that creates a platform for me to dive more into being able to share more of these things with you. So, with so much love, I love you guys so much. Thank you to all of you that are here on the live sharing this with me. I love you guys. Thank you, and I will see you at our next live event. Just as a quick note, tomorrow is the live Q&A. Check the website or check your email. Hopefully you got the email. If you didn't get the email, you can sign up for that on my website. And it's a live Q&A. So all are welcome to join in live on the Zoom, and we'll do a deep